Did you know Ajinomoto's frozen gyoza have been Japan's best-selling frozen food for over 18 years? That's more than 100 million packs sold every year. And it's not just clever marketing that keeps them on top. The real secret? It's all in how they're made. So stick around to find out. It begins with fresh ingredients. You may think frozen dumplings are just tossed together bits of meat and dough, but the truth is, Ajinomoto takes their ingredients very seriously. It all starts with fresh, top-quality ingredients that are checked and handled with care way before they ever see the inside of a wrapper. You'd be surprised just how much thought goes into what's inside each dumpling. First up, let's talk about meat. Ajinomoto uses pork and chicken, and not just any kind. They partner with trusted suppliers who meet strict standards for animal health and hygiene. Every batch of meat is inspected for color, texture, and temperature. If anything looks off, it gets rejected right away. So you're not just eating any random pork mince. You're eating pork that passed some serious quality tests. Same goes for the chicken. It's lean, tender, and totally fresh when it arrives at the factory. Then comes the vegetables. You might not expect it, but veggies play a big role in how gyoza tastes. The usual suspects are cabbage, garlic, green onions, and sometimes chives. Cabbage adds sweetness and crunch, garlic brings that punchy aroma, and green onions give the filling a bit of a tingle. These veggies are washed thoroughly to get rid of dirt or chemicals. After that, they're chopped into specific sizes. Not too big, not too small, just enough to blend smoothly with the meat without overpowering it. Now, here's where it gets flavorful. Everything, the meat and veggies, go into a massive industrial mixer. Then, in comes the seasoning. This part's a little secretive, but we know it usually includes soy sauce, sesame oil, salt, pepper, and sometimes ginger. The ingredients get mixed in big batches so that every bite of gyoza tastes just like the last. Some factories even have a team of people whose job is just to test and taste the filling at different stages. Imagine taste testing dumplings for a living. And get this, they even check moisture levels in the filling. If it's too wet, the wrapper might break during cooking. If it's too dry, it'll taste off. The balance has to be perfect. That's how Ajinomoto makes sure the filling stays juicy but not soggy, and packed with flavor but not overpowering. Crafting the perfect wrapper. Alright, now that we've got our filling ready to go, it's time to talk about the part that holds it all together. The wrapper. And trust me, this isn't just a plain old piece of dough. The wrapper might look simple, but a lot of care goes into making it just right for texture, flexibility, and cooking performance. Yep, you heard that right. Cooking performance. That's a real thing in the dumpling world. Ajinomoto uses a blend of wheat flour and water as a base for most of their wrappers. That's it. No weird additives, just two humble ingredients. But how are they mixed, kneaded, and rolled? Well, the flour is tested first to make sure the protein content is just right, which affects how stretchy and strong the dough becomes. Too much protein and the wrapper turns chewy. Too little and it might tear. So it has to hit that sweet spot. Once the flour and water are mixed, the dough gets kneaded by large automated machines. But these aren't your grandma's rolling pins. They're talking industrial machines that knead the dough for just the right amount of time and pressure to get it smooth, elastic, and ready to roll. After kneading, the dough is left to rest. Why? Because resting helps the gluten relax, making the dough easier to work with and preventing it from springing back when rolled out. Then the dough moves into a roller that flattens it into long, thin sheets. These sheets are cut into perfect circles using a stamping machine. Each wrapper has to be the same size and thickness, as this ensures even cooking and consistent texture. If one wrapper is thick than another, it might not cook all the way through, or it could turn doughy. Not exactly what you want in your gyoza. Now, here's something cool. In some Ajinomoto's factories, like the ones in Thailand, they make rice flour wrappers too. These are perfect for people who can't eat gluten. It's great to see a big company thinking about folks with allergies or dietary needs and offering them the same delicious experience. Once the wrappers are ready, the filling is piped in and the machines start folding. The folding technique matters a lot. Ajinomoto uses a pleating method that not only looks nice, but also helps seal the dumpling tightly. The machines are fast, but gentle, mimicking the hand-folding techniques used by chefs in Japan. The end result is a beautifully folded gyoza that holds in all the juicy filling and crisps up just right when you cook it. And speaking of cooking, let's talk about that next. Cooking and freezing. Now here's where things start to get really tasty. After the gyoza are filled and folded, they're not just tossed into a freezer right away. Nope. Ajinomoto has a much smarter approach to locking in all that delicious flavor. First, the gyoza go through a cooking process that's actually very similar to how you'd make them at home. You know how you usually pan-fry gyoza in a little oil until the bottoms are golden and crispy, then add a splash of water and cover them so they steam to perfection. That's exactly what they do, but on a massive scale. In the factory, giant automated griddles heat up to just the right temperature. The gyoza are placed bottom down on these hot surfaces where they get that signature crispy texture. But that's just the beginning. After that quick fry, steam jets come into play. Steam is blasted over the gyoza to make sure the filling is fully cooked, while keeping the wrapper soft and chewy on top. It's that perfect contrast between crunchy and tender that makes these dumplings so addictive. And yes, this is all done by machines, but it still manages to look and smell just like your kitchen on a good day. But wait, they're not done yet. Right after cooking, the gyoza go through something called flash freezing. This part is actually super important. Flash freezing is kind of like freezing on steroids. It happens really fast, usually in a matter of minutes, at extremely low temperatures. The goal is to lock in all the flavor, texture, and moisture before anything has a chance to get soggy or stale. If you were to freeze cooked food slowly, it would form large ice crystals that can mess with the texture and flavor. But flash freezing keeps those crystals tiny, so when you heat the gyoza at home, it tastes like it was just cooked. Pretty smart, right? So the conveyor belts carry the freshly cooked gyoza snake into a freezing chamber that looks like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. You won't believe how cold it gets in there. We're talking well below zero, and the entire process is timed down to the second. This fast freeze locks everything in place, from the crispy bottom to the juicy filling. Once the gyoza are frozen solid, they're packed up quickly into bags or boxes, sealed tight to keep air out. Then they're stored in cold rooms until it's time to ship them out. Whether they're heading to supermarkets in Japan or being flown halfway across the world, they stay perfectly preserved until you toss them in your pan at home. Quality checks. All right, let's talk about something you might not usually think about when you're biting into a juicy gyoza. Behind the scenes, there's an entire system in place that's obsessed with quality. And when it comes to Ajinomoto, they don't mess around. These gyoza go through more checks and tests than you'd believe, all to make sure that what ends up in your pan is safe and tasty and consistent every single time. The quality checks actually start before the ingredients even enter the factory. Every shipment of pork, chicken, cabbage, garlic, and seasoning goes through strict inspections. They're tested for things like freshness, temperature, color, and even smell. If something's even a little off, it doesn't get through the door. No exceptions. Once the ingredients are approved and brought inside, the safety procedures go into overdrive. The factory floors are spotless. Workers wear clean uniforms, hairnets, gloves, and face masks, and before anyone even touches the equipment, they have to sanitize their hands and boots. Everything is tracked, logged, and recorded. It's like walking into a clean room, not a food plant. Now, as the gyoza are being made, there are more checks happening non-stop. There are sensors that scan for size, height, and shape. And if a dumpling looks weird or has too little filling, it gets kicked off the line automatically. There's even a step where cameras take high-speed photos of each dumpling to make sure they match the expected look. And yes, that includes the pleats. You may think that the little fold pattern on your gyoza is just for looks, but it's actually a big part of how it cooks evenly. So they make sure it's perfect every time. But Ajinomoto doesn't just rely on machines. They also have trained workers who do manual checks during every shift. These people take random samples of gyoza, cut them open, and check everything from filling texture to wrapper thickness. They also cook a few right there and taste them to make sure the flavor hits the mark. But even when the gyoza are cooked and frozen, the checking doesn't stop. The packaging is inspected for leaks or weak seals, Labels are checked to make sure they list the right info. Even the storage temperatures are monitored in real time to make sure the products stay frozen all the way to the store. And here's something that might surprise you. Before any new batch of gyoza is released to the public, it has to pass a final taste test panel. And this isn't just some random group of people either. It's a trained team with sharp taste buds who taste for saltiness, umami, texture, and how the gyoza reheat after being frozen. So yeah, when you pick up a pack of Ajinomoto gyoza, you're not just getting convenience. You're getting the result of hundreds of little steps, each one checked and double-checked by people and machines working together to make sure your dumplings are nothing less than awesome. Now, you might think frozen gyoza are just a quick bite for busy days, but Ajinomoto's gyoza have actually become a fan favorite in countries all over the world. From Tokyo to Los Angeles and even all the way to Paris, people are enjoying these dumplings in all sorts of ways. Some folks love eating them straight from the pan with crispy bottoms, while others drop them into ramen bowls for extra flavor and texture. In places like Hawaii and California, it's not unusual to find them tucked next to poke bowls or served with spicy dipping sauces at fusion restaurants. Even in Europe, they've started popping up in grocery freezer aisles and trendy cafes. What makes them so appealing is that they're quick to cook, super tasty, and go with pretty much anything. Whether you're having them as a snack, side dish, or part of a full meal, they always hit the spot. If you love learning how things are made from scratch, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next one.